What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are reacting to a very interesting conversation from Akon's appearance on Flagrant podcast. He broke down how Afrobeats went from being a regional sound to one of the biggest genres in the world, and he made sure to give Fela Kuti his flowers for laying the foundation. There's also an interesting point about the business side of African music that I don't think gets talked about enough. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dons and donuts everywhere, it's your boy Morgan Heights in the building. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you're watching on your mobile phone, hit the hype button. And let's watch some content.
Is it interesting for you, exciting for you to see how much African music is being embraced in the mainstream?
Yeah, interestingly enough, in the beginning, it felt tough though. Because that was why I actually stopped doing music after I released my album in 2008. I promoted for about 2 years. I did the World Cup in South Africa, and then I stayed in Africa and went straight to Nigeria and started developing what you now know as to be Afrobeat. But it really was, Afrobeat was more of a political movement started by an artist named Fela. And he was really big and very influential in Nigeria. He was like the rebel.
This Fela Kuti.
Yes, he was like a rebel, but he would speak the people's words through his music. And he would always combat the government on what they ain't doing, what they should be doing. And it became one of those kind of things. So it was more...
Bob Marley-esque figure in terms of his influence?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, okay.
He's a good analogy. So when we went up there, that music was well respected, but wasn't commercialized. And then that's when we came and kind of brought more of a pop feel to it and gave it a more rhythmic type of, allowance to where people outside of Africa can actually relate to it if you wasn't quite understanding what was being said.
Wait, when is this?
This started from 2008 to recent, bro. Wizkid was my first artist that I signed.
Wow. Akon.
Yeah.
Wow. The lore is crazy.
Your life is unbelievable.
No, it's crazy.
Like Wizkid was how old when you met him?
He was 13.
Crazy.
Wow. And okay. 13. And what are you seeing in this kid?
He was a star. Like he was a star.
But at 13, like musically, he was a star. He could perform.
Man, he just looked. Man, like when he walked into the room, you just knew, okay, this kid is gonna be. He's something big. And he had an amazing voice. He was also writing his own little songs at that time. Wow. He was managed and ran by a guy named Banky W at the time. That's who I partnered up with to sign with.
So you're in there, you see some talent, you also see potential for this genre of music internationally.
Yes.
What makes you think, like what, I mean, because I imagine as a young kid growing up in the States, being African, right? There wasn't the same like embracing and love and like yearning to connect with your roots. Right. Like I'm 42, so I remember there was like a distinct separation even like maybe I would even go so far as to say like...
No, like everybody hid the fact that they was African.
The crazy thing is, Akon is absolutely right. I remember growing up in the UK as someone of Caribbean heritage, both of my parents Jamaican, and we were incredibly proud of where we came from. Jamaica has a rich musical legacy. Bob Marley, Yellowman, Barrington Levy, John Holt, the list goes on. Their music made me proud to be a Jamaican. But I remember that a lot of my African friends used to get mocked for being African. Looking back at that now, it's actually embarrassing. Because at the end of the day, we are all connected. When you're 16, 17, 18 years old, you're immature. You don't always understand that. Fast forward to 2026 and look at this now. Things have changed. African culture is influencing the world. Afrobeats is one of the biggest genres on the planet. Amapiano is exploding globally. And African artists are headlining festivals, selling out arenas, and shaping popular culture. It's been amazing to watch that shift. I've got to be honest with you. I genuinely didn't know Akon played such a significant role in helping Afrobeats reach a global audience. I knew he worked with African artists, but I had no idea he was involved to this extent. So I'm learning something here as well.
Yeah. Like literally, people was embarrassed to be African. You know what I mean? I was probably the only one pushing it. Oh, they was being clowned. It was like African jokes. It was like if you was being joned on, the African jokes was the most popular. Right. Put it that way. Right. So nobody wanted to be African.
I apologize for my past because I was part of that.
I apologize for my past.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so that's interesting. So you grew up in this time, and now you're seeing massive artists from the region and like
doing well locally. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. How like they don't know about this?
But what gives you the feeling that it would be successful when you grew up in a place where there was this separation?
Well, because I knew in Africa it was heavily popular. But I knew it just wasn't exposed in America to even get the chance to become popular.
Got it.
Right? So I just knew that there's certain elements in it that I knew that made it too local on why it would never leave and become bigger than the continent.
And this is like sonic elements?
Yeah, it's sonic elements. I'm knowing what the US want to hear. I'm knowing what Europe want to hear.
This is like taking Chinese food from China and turning it into a version of it where Western people will consume. Got it.
Ooh,
okay.
So perfect. That's the perfect way to explain it.
And this is just because like your father was a musician, if I'm not mistaken. So like you grew up classically trained in music.
Right.
So like you can consume this from this culture that you understand and it is a part of your identity, but also recognize the limitations in the music for like Western audiences to go.
And how much not to take out to keep it authentic.
Because they also need to still like it.
Yes. Right. They have to love it.
Yeah, it can't feel too commercialized where they start going, no, that's not the real thing.
I'm definitely going to go back and listen to some of the original African music from before all the different influences and fusions came into the genre. I think that would be really interesting because it will give me a better understanding of where today's sound actually comes from. But let me ask you guys a question. In your opinion, what do you think Afrobeats is a fusion of? What genres or musical influence do you hear when you listen to it? Let me know in the comments because I genuinely love to hear your thoughts.
Oh,
that was a challenge. That was a challenge.
So you're saying Afrobeats doesn't really exist in its modern iteration before you go there?
100%.
Wow. Whoa, dude.
Wow. Did you connect with Burna Boy around this time?
Well, Burna, he was young at that time too. He was
because we're talking 2008.
Burna was just like he was probably trying or thinking about being an artist at that time.
Wow.
But he wasn't at that level, nowhere near it.
Wow. And at what point do you go, oh, Afrobeats is out of here? Like this sound is now global. Is there a moment?
When WizKid actually popped, that's when I realized, okay, we got him. Because it took a while. And when I came to the US and I was shopping Wiz, they thought it was reggae. And they're like, well, reggae's not really popping right now. I'm like, it's not reggae. It's not reggae.
Bigger in Europe before it came to the States.
But that's what made me go to London. Then when I went to London, it broke in London because London was more open-minded. And there's a lot of Africans.
Huge African community there. Yeah.
So London was where it actually broke. And we was able to break P Square first, which was a twin group, two twins. Right, and we had a record called "Chop My Money" that went fucking ridiculous. Ended up charting in the U.S. charts.
Chop my money, cause I don't care. I don't. Yo, Brett, that tune was cold. Wait a minute. Yo.
Wow. But it charted in the UK charts first. You know what I mean? But at that time, those guys were like. They were performers. Imagine if you had two ushers and they were twins. That's what they were, but in the Afrobeat market.
Right.
Like when you see their performance, it was nuts. That's how they actually got them. And then while that's happening, WizKid is more authentic at that time for what we were trying to portray. Whereas P Square were more commercial. So P Square what actually opened the door for Wiz to bust through the door with the authenticness of what they recognize in P Square. And then they just... Once you took off, it was over.
At this point in your career, can you kind of like see, do you know when the trend is gonna pop?
I don't know when it's gonna pop, but I know what will pop.
Right, so it's like, but is there a moment where you see something building momentum and you're like, yeah, this is out of here. In a year, this is out of here.
Yeah,
or in 2
that's
years.
exactly how I see it.
And this is what you saw with
that. That's what I saw with that.
Interesting. And at that point, from a business perspective, are you starting to build up an apparatus around it?
100%. But what I realized was there was no business or apparatus to build around African music because they didn't understand the business well enough to know what that was.
And why is that?
So, there was no music industry structure.
You know what Akon just said reminds me of? I remember having a conversation with someone I used to work with in the industry. For those who don't know, before podcasting, I was an active UK hip hop artist. One of my label mates was Shay Shay, and she eventually left the UK to build her career in Africa. I remember speaking to her about the music scene over there. She told me the infrastructure wasn't really developed at the time. Artists weren't making money from publishing or royalties as they do in more established markets. Most of their income came from performing live. Looking back at that conversation now, what Akon is saying makes complete sense. If the business side of the industry weren't fully in place, then somebody had to help build the infrastructure so African artists could create sustainable careers. It's interesting how Akon explains how that evolution helped, because it lines up with what I was hearing years ago.
Africa, everything was black market, sold in the black market. Like there was no, there was no record stores. You would have to go to the actual market and buy albums that was duplicated in CD duplicators.
Because the music industry didn't see the value
Exactly.
in Africa.
So in Africa, the motto was you would sell the master to somebody. And then they, like prime example, with Wiz's album before then, they would make an album and then sell it to someone, sell the master to them for like $100,000. And then done. Then now they just make money off shows, and who owns the master now, he monetizes that through all the black markets throughout Nigeria. And then later does a deal in the US with iTunes, Apple, or whoever, and then he owns the master now to it.
Got it. So just so I'm understanding here, you make your album, you sell it to somebody. It might be somebody in the business. It might be somebody outside of the business. They own the rights to it in perpetuity.
Right.
You go tour with your songs.
Yep.
And then they literally print CDs or whatever it is, and then sell them in different black markets
wherever they
around.
can sell it.
So you can see how someone might never break out, but be locally super hot.
Exactly, and that's why it was like that.
It
Because
almost,
of that motto. So when we came, we twisted it up. We actually taught them the business.
Oh, really?
Yes. This you make publishing off this, you make royalty off of this. This your distribution cost. This goes to the label. This goes to the artist. Now they understood it, and it was able to now understand it, because now you can actually negotiate with labels in Europe and France and the UK, and you know. And
so you're putting the artists on game to this. You're putting the industry folks on game to this. What is the?
Well, the industry folks didn't like the fact that we're putting them on game.
Fuck no.
Right, because they're like, yo, we're getting a deal off this. We're getting $100,000. And
I mean, they was getting masses free, basically.
Right.
It was basically like, hey, we'll pay for the production of all this
And interesting enough, in India it was the same way, because India had the same model.
Overall, I thought this was a really insightful conversation. One thing I'm always going to appreciate is when people take the time to acknowledge those who came before them. Akon didn't just talk about his own success. He gave credit to Fela Kuti for laying the foundation and spoke about the importance of building an industry that allows artists to earn a living. For me, that's the biggest takeaway. Great music is one thing, but if you don't have the business, the infrastructure, and the opportunities behind it, it's difficult for a genre to grow globally. It's amazing to see how African music is today. Afrobeats, Amapiano are dominating the charts. Festivals and clubs all over the world. And it's a reminder that culture can travel when the right people invest in it and believe in it. But I'd like to hear what you think, people. Did Akon play a bigger role in the global rise of Afrobeats than people give him credit for? Or do you think the contribution is sometimes overstated? Let me know what your thoughts is down below in the comments, people. If you enjoyed this reaction, don't forget to like the video. Subscribe if you're new. It's your boy Morgan Heights in the building. I'll catch you on the next one, people. Peace.